The situation in New York for Governor Andrew Cuomo is not looking good. Not only has he sentenced thousands of residents to death, the real truth about Andrew Cuomo's actions are coming out. It is time to send in the replacements. You're listening to the Closet Conservative Podcast. It was bad enough that Governor Andrew Cuomo was embroiled in the coronavirus scandal. You know, the one where he sentenced thousands of residents in his state to death. There was an elaborate cover-up, and then needed an investigation and continued denials. He won an Emmy, wrote a management book about his experience, and all the while the truth was he was a failure. While the governor was laughing on CNN with his brother, thousands of New Yorkers lost loved ones. As sad as that is, it seems the governor has no issues with making others feel uncomfortable. That's how it certainly sounds after hearing that not just a couple of women accused the governor of misconduct and sexual harassment, but now 7 of them have. The latest, as reported by Fox News, is from a Politico reporter. Yes, a reporter from the mainstream media, the same mainstream media that usually comes to the defense of Democrats. But this time, that's not happening. The reporter shared her story about how Governor Cuomo made her uncomfortable. She described how he held her close, asked her about being uncomfortable when he was around, or she was around him. She shared that she was never asked to have sex with the governor, but that he certainly showed her who was in charge. He bullied her, and the actions that he engaged in, the descriptions that were shared, were sexual harassment. Her claims are just the latest in the growing list of claims against the governor. And he's argued he's innocent. He's argued that he should not be held accountable, that there's details that we do not know, and he has refused to resign. He said that anyone asking him to resign is reckless and dangerous, specifically speaking about politicians, and said that they did not have all the facts. That's interesting because the governor acted without the facts and was reckless himself during the Kavanaugh accusations. He acted the same way to Donald Trump. But now he wants different treatment since it's him. He wants everyone to take their time and not rush to any conclusions. But this is so much different than the accusations in many other cases. This is not just a story, but these are vivid details that these women are remembering. These are exact locations. They're not just describing a hallway. They're telling you exactly where it happened, exact dates, exact flights that it happened on, and more. You think back about the Kavanaugh situation that I mentioned a moment ago. This is not just a random date at a random house at a high school party that someone's struggling to remember. These ladies are not struggling to remember the details. They were truly upset. They spoke with people about it. They filed formal complaints. They changed job positions and more, all because of what the governor had done. They were bothered by what happened to them. And he claims this is just politics at its worst. But this is about so much more than politics. This is not politics at all. I mean, is that what he was doing when he jumped to a conclusion about Brett Kavanaugh and Donald Trump? Was that politics at its worst too? This is not politics. This is about the proper treatment of women. The list of people calling on Governor Cuomo to resign is growing. The majority of the New York U.S. representative delegation has called on him to resign. Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand have both called on him to resign. That's both of the senators from New York. But he still has no intentions to resign. He said he plans to fulfill his term in office. He was elected to serve in that office and has no plans to step down. He says he deserves to be there. The people wanted him to be there. But how do those 7 women feel? I mean, this is not about a political position. This is not about an election or a term. This is about legal actions and illegal actions, rather, in these women. This is about treating women with respect, treating them appropriately. You know, the left once claimed that women deserve to be heard, that they deserve to be listened to and believed. But it took 6 women to step up before the left decided to hold a hearing about impeachment. It took 6 women before they took this seriously and said, maybe we should hold an investigation and truly look at impeaching this guy because he is not stepping down. Because the cries for his resignation were not loud enough. And it took 7 of these women to step out before many of them stepped out and asked him to resign. That is way too many. Sure, they may have launched an investigation. They may be looking into it. But this is beyond that. This is about a governor and him having the ability to do his job, knowing he's not going to mistreat people. He's already mistreated thousands and sentenced them to death. And now he has sat here and mistreated these 7 women. It certainly didn't take 7 people for them to say that Trump should resign. All it took was one accusation of a payment to Stormy Daniels, and the left was up in arms. And Trump wasn't even accused of sexual harassment. He was accused of an affair, which I'm not making an excuse for Trump if he did have an affair. I think that is just as sick, but this is different. It is a double standard from the left that is ridiculous. Rather than resigning and saving any dignity that he had, Cuomo continues to remain in place and deal with the allegations of sexual harassment. There's an old saying, and it goes something like this: where there is smoke, there is fire. Andrew Cuomo is in the middle of a ring of fire surrounded by billowing smoke. This is intense, black smoke, so thick that you cannot see any way out of the situation. Even CNN is now saying that the chances of Cuomo coming out of this and still being governor is very slim. That's the mainstream media outlet that's refused to even cover it. They refuse to cover all the accusations and all the stories, even his live press conference talking about it on Friday. And it's not like the Democrats don't have someone on standby ready to take his place. The lieutenant governor of New York is an experienced Democrat, and she is ready to go. What is the shame of the matter is that 7 women have had to live with these kind of thoughts and memories while the governor has simply lived and basked in the glory of the governor's mansion. He's basked in the spotlight of the mainstream media. He's basked in the spotlight as they've given him Emmys, given him awards, celebrated him while he's been a failure. The time has come for New York to send in the replacements. I hope you have a great week. I'll talk to you again next weekend. The Closet Conservative Podcast is a production of The Liberty Loft. Copyright The Liberty Loft 2021. You can find more shows and information on our website, www.thelibertyloft.com, or on any of our social media channels. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a 5-star review, and share the podcast with your friends.